These are the plaintiffs, Giovanni Hernandez and Roderick Leonard. Roderick says he and his fiancée rented a house from the defendant, and when they moved out, their security wasn't returned, and they were handed a bill for smoke damage. The defendant knew they were smokers when they signed the lease. They thought the defendant was a fair person when they moved in, but now they see he's a greedy man who's trying to take advantage of them. They're suing for $2,232.78, the amount owed. This is the defendant, Bethel Barker. He says the plaintiffs were a lovely couple the first year they lived there, but Roderick became belligerent when he told him he couldn't have a pit bull in the house. Regardless, they got the pit bull. The neighbors started complaining, and soon after they moved out. He had every right to take their security for damages, unpaid rent, and he also put them into collections because he still owed money they refused to pay. He's accused of taking advantage of tenants. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $2,274.77 for additional repairs.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiffs rented a house from the defendant and got dinged for smoke damage, even though the defendant knew they smoked when they moved in. Now, the defendant says the plaintiff turned nasty when he wouldn't let him get a pit bull. It's the case of What Are You Smoking?
Thank you, Douglas. Giovanni Hernandez and Roderick Leonard, you are suing Bethel Barker and K&B Rentals, your former landlord, for $2,232.78, your security deposit, plus extra damages. All right. You have a counterclaim against them for $2,274.77 for the rest of your cleaning, some bills, and rent. Talk to me. Let's hear from you first on this.
Yes, ma'am. On October the 18th of 2014, signed a year lease with Mr. Barker, K&B Rentals. And as we were sitting down, I asked him about smoking, and he told me the apartment that we had was a smoking facility.
Was a what?
Smoking facility.
Is that in your lease?
Well, it's not written anywhere in the lease about smoking nor non-smoking. I went the whole lease. I paid the whole lease for a whole year. Stayed there a year. It was a nice year there, and until it got to the end, and some tenants got upset because he raised their rent, and Giovanni happened to have one of her friends' dogs right next door. It was an apartment like here. We was on the end of the townhouse, and then there's another set of apartments somebody owned, which is approximately maybe 10 feet from.
How long did you have the pit bull?
Actually, the pit bull didn't stay with me. It lived next door. It would just come over.
How would it come over?
Because I knew the lady.
How would it get from its place to your place where you can't have a pet?
Me and the lady would talk, so she would come outside. The dog would be outside on the porch.
Of your porch?
Yes.
On a leash or without a leash?
With a leash.
All right.
But
so,
when I called him...
And according to you, why do you think that they actually had the pet living with them?
Because the neighbors kept complaining and said that they made a big issue out of showing it off when they first got it, and that they had to clean up after it because they would not clean up after it. And I kept driving by hoping to see it personally, but I never did. But I did get quite a few calls from their neighbors concerning this dog. And then when I went down there around the 5th of October of 2015 and went to discuss it with them, they personally did tell me that they were pet sitting this dog daily for most of the days. And I told them, I said, well, your rules and your lease clearly states if you have a pet in there for any reason, that pet sitting is not a justified reason, that you have to pay this pet fee.
And the pet fee was what?
It's $100 a month from the day they signed the lease forward.
Well, no, it would be from the day they got a pet forward.
But I never know when they have.
Well, I know. Well, that's unfortunate
why.
For you. You cannot say to me, since I can't prove what date they had it, I'm just going to say that they had it a year ago. So that's not how that works.
I had them
hold on. Let me hear from you on the issue with the security deposit. You had a $1,200 security deposit. and you, do you do a walkthrough when you leave or not really?
Well, this is my first time renting ever. I'm from Alabama, and I mostly stay in homes that my family own. And
Is that an Alabama thing? People don't rent in Alabama?
Yes. Well, we down there, you know, most people own their own homes, and then they help their kids get a home or, you know, supply it for them. But I never had
my children are going to subscribe to the Alabama theory. So that's Go ahead.
But I got a letter, which is right here, from a collection agency, and he was telling me that I owed him $1,000, and he
How do you have a letter from a collection agency when no one has, like, how does that work?
I give them 30 days to respond to the letter they get if their damages exceed their deposit. And if I don't hear back from them, then I turn it over to my collection agency, and then they try to get in touch with them.
Okay, so it's not on a credit reporting
I just
site.
turn
It's
it in.
just people you hire to try to get money that you feel you are owed.
It's a debt
now,
collection agency.
what were the damages? Which I'm going to give you a chance to speak, honey. I know you're about to burst.
No.
I know. Hold on. We'll be with you in one
All right.
moment.
Well, you got
What
them
are
on
the
them.
damages that you say they did that would
Okay.
justify you keeping $1,200 plus suing for another $2,200?
Well, when they moved in, I'm sure they'll contest to it. The fact it was just recently remodeled, and I spent about $12,000 to $14,000 on that particular apartment. I have the pictures of it, and you can see the apartment was really nice, and these are pictures of the apartment when they moved in. So you can see it had all the nice woodwork, it had a nice new furnace and hot water tank.
Here, I'm going to
So-
go down there. It'll be easier.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can see they moved into a really, really nice place.
Okay.
You know, so then when they moved out, they did not pay their last month's rent. They only give me a verbal notice of 20 days. They're required to give me a 30-day written notice when they pay their last
By
month's
the
rent.
time that they left, were they on a month-to-month, or were they
They
still
were
under the
on
lease?
month-to-month, but the month-to-month still says they still have to follow all the guidelines of the lease, requiring a 30-day written notice, him calling me on the 20th of the
Okay,
month.
first of all, let me just tell you, you are wrong. When a lease ends, it ends. So your lease doesn't survive in perpetuity forever. That's not how it works. You need to get another lease if you want that. But that's not of no moment. That is not of any moment here.
All right.
This is how they left.
They left it, so I had to get this out of the basement. I had to remove the stove to get that out of the basement. You can see
You had to
this
remove
little
the
chip-
what?
The stove, because the stove's at the top of the basement steps. People move in.
How did you guys get that sofa in?
just picked
The
it up and
sofa?
set it over the stove, and then the door was open, and then just flipped it on in the door.
Oh, you have more than one person. You
Yes,
had a
ma'am.
couple
Yes,
people in.
people.
All right, go
Okay.
on.
This blind is a blind I have here. It shows that little chip, so it testifies that that is the blind. And this
Let me
was
see.
after
Can you
they-
bring that? Let me
Yeah,
know.
and this is after they moved out.
Okay.
So, and then the blind is right here. And you can see that it's got a lot of nicotine all over it. And this is the blind that come off that
Question,
front door.
did you know that they were smokers? Or
No.
they or he?
I didn't know it, but
Oh, no. Are you both smokers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And mostly we smoked outside.
right. And that may be what he was expecting, that you might smoke outside.
okay. But you can see that this is what I end up with on all my walls and everything. You can see that this was a brand-new blind when they moved in. And you can
Where-
see when
can
all
you
your
turn that
walls
this
look
way?
like this,
Hold
when
on.
all your walls look
What-
like this, you have to clean
What-
that off.
what is
That's
that?
nicotine.
No, that's wet. That's
I
like,
don't know.
that's.
This is how it is. There's that same chip, and that's the chip that's in the picture.
Okay.
And you can just see the gunky stuff on it. It's not like I can do that to a blind,
No.
you know. And when you move into a place that has brand-new semi-gloss washable paint on everything, and we have to go in, and you cannot paint over nicotine. If you paint over nicotine, it's going to soak through. You have to get that off.
So first you clean it, but why do you have to paint? If you clean it, that doesn't take away the
No,
nicotine.
because it leaves a big smeary look, and it leaves the smell, too.
This is why I never dated a smoker. All right. So according to you, you had to spend $1,000 in cleaning. I saw the
and
bill from
cleaning.
MJ. It was
Painting, yeah.
$750 to paint and $250 to clean.
And I provide a
Then
material.
Then you had to spend $60 to get two people to get the sofa out that they left behind, and then you're suing also for November rent because according to you they were there in November, didn't pay it, or
Well, they were there 5 days, but they did not get proper notice because
Okay.
the lease
And
clearly
that-
states
and-
it's a month to month.
and that
following the
And
terms of the
then,
lease.
and you're also suing for late fees, but those late fees are based on what you have in the lease.
Well, they didn't even give me the keys back until the 5th, which is past the late date.
Right, but you're suing for $140 in late fees based
Yeah.
on what your lease says.
Yeah.
All right, and then, but you're also suing for an additional $300 for cleaning.
Their MJ bill was $1,000, but says clearly right on the bill that it does not include paint and material. I provide the paint material.
Okay, but in
So-
your lawsuit, what you say is another $300 for cleaning. What did you mean?
I guess
You
I
have
just
the
break
receipt
it
for the
down.
paint and material.
I buy everything in bulk.
Do
I actually,
you have the, okay, so the answer is no, you don't have
No.
any, okay.
And I actually took a picture of my storage place because I buy all my cleaning supplies in bulk and I buy all my paint supplies in bulk.
All right, now, the water bill you're not contesting, right? You owe a water bill, it just came after you left.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now, who broke the shade?
I did. I
Okay.
broke the shade.
All right.
I broke it.
But there is like a filmy, gunky substance on it. Where was that shade? What?
It was at the front door.
Why was it so dirty? Why was
and
it like?
sometimes we had the front door open. You know, we had the front,
Yeah, but that doesn't make it that dirty. Like, you know, he
Well,
says that's the nicotine and that's the
no,
smoke.
man, that's
and
not,
that's
I mean,
the,
have you
That's
had
not
that tested to really say that
Tested?
that is nicotine?
No,
I mean,
but
it
if
could
I
be
show it
dust.
to you, will you be able to tell me what it is since it's your
Well,
mess?
I mean,
Yes.
how can you do
I would
that?
be able to.
Okay, let's bring that over there to her and let's see if she can tell me
because
what's
I'm
on
always
that.
in the living room, and that was over the door, to
Right,
the living room.
Got it. Okay.
So if a landlord allows you to smoke, can the landlord charge you for smoke damage? That's the question.
No, he cannot,
Really? Why?
because he allowed me to smoke.
He allowed you to smoke, but if the walls turn yellow, what about that?
It's the landlord's responsibility because they're allowed to happen.
Huh? Going inside the courtroom.
I know what that was.
That was from the barbecue. We had a barbecue when my mom came over.
And the barbecue, so nobody cleaned it. All right, so the barbecue is right on the front porch
Yep,
or whatever?
that's barbecue
Okay.
sauce, not nicotine
Well,
sauce.
it looks like grease spatter is what
Yeah.
it does look like. So, okay. Why did you leave the sofa behind?
Well,
Because
it
it's
was
a
in
pain to move?
No, ma'am.
So
It
you
was-
want to make it his pain?
No, ma'am. It was in such great condition that I figured that in the basement that, you know, somebody
Yeah, but
would
you
use
can't
it.
figure that. You got to ask.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you give him notice that you were moving to the other place?
I gave him notice about 2 weeks into the month of October.
So you're supposed to give 30 days notice.
I thought we had agreement that.
And why
even
would
if-
he owe you Why would they owe you $140 in late fees when you have their security deposit?
Because the first thing I do with security deposits deal with the damages to the apartment.
Okay. This is from Elizabeth Briscoe, one of your neighbors. This letter is to inform me of my knowledge of a pit bull residing with Noni. That's you? You're Noni? From midsummer 2015 onward until she and Roger vacated the premises. Noni brought that dog home and made a big show of introducing it to all our neighbors with the statement that Mr. Barker gave her permission to have that dog in their apartment. When asked, Noni responded by saying that she did not have to pay a pet deposit or an additional monthly fee for keeping such a large dog. Every time Noni had the dog outside, it ran without a leash. I was concerned about a neighbor family with 4 small children. The dog trampled my flowers and crapped in my yard. Okay.
Wow.
Which Noni did nothing to remedy. You don't get along with her, right?
No, right?
No, actually, Your Honor, it was the ladies next door's dog.
Yeah, that's very convenient.
No, no,
Okay.
It was her dog, and her dog.
If you have her dog at your place enough to have neighbors complaining, then it's your dog.
No,
right.
because she would come over every day as soon as she bring her out.
Then you're having a dog. That's the idea, is that you're not supposed to have the dog in your place, and then
But
you're
she
having the
wants
dog every day in your place. That's you having a dog. But anyway, I need everybody to stop talking for one moment here. There are some expenses I believe that you should be able to recover, and there are some that I do not. I see the only receipt that you've handed me is from MJ, and MJ already has $250 for cleaning in there. When I asked you about the additional cleaning, you're telling me, well, that's for paint, but you have no receipts. The late fee, you had the security deposit, and you don't get to charge the late fee that you had said you would charge in a prior lease that was not in effect at the time of the event. You get the water bills, you get the sofa removal. So I find that you are entitled to a total of $1,692.78, of which you already have $1,200, and therefore I find in this lawsuit a net judgment in your favor that the plaintiffs must pay you, taking care of both the claim and the counterclaim, of $492.78 net judgment for the defendant. That's my judgment.
So we're gonna pay him.
So the defendant prevails. He only gets $400 of the more than $2,000 he was countersuing for. The plaintiffs have just come out. You were suing for more than $2,000. You don't get anything. Are you happy?
Well, I'm not upset about it. Actually, I'm glad it's here because I wanted to expose the landlords for the unfair renting tactics that they're doing. And this is just a beginning step. It's happening everywhere.
Well, I don't know if the judge agrees with you there. Obviously, she didn't give you anything, so it was a net loss for you to come to court.
Yes.
Thanks anyway. We appreciate it. You
All
have
right.
some documents you must sign. Now, here comes our defendant, Mr. Barker. You didn't get very much. You only got $400 back. How do you feel about it?
Well, I don't know. I think when people sign contracts and agree to certain things, I think they should be held up to what they sign.
Okay. Bottom line, have you learned anything from this?
Yeah, I might have people sign leases every year instead of just letting them go month to month, which is
Okay.
not as convenient for the tenants. I do that as a favor for the tenants, but if it's going to hurt me in the long haul, then I may not do it if it's not forcible.
Very good, sir. Thank you very much.
Right,
You two
thank
must
you.
sign some documents in the back.
Thank you.
And Harvey, your turn.
Okay, Doug, what are you guys thinking? Are you kidding me? The landlord, of course, can charge for damage if there are cigarette burns on the carpet, or even if the walls are turning yellow prematurely. Just because you have a right to do it doesn't mean you don't have to pay the damage. It's like having a dog that pees all over the carpet. You pay for the pee, period.